Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with reTHINK Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 153. I'm Tony Caliendo, author of Less Over More and executive coach here at reTHINK Coaching. As always, I want to welcome you to the podcast in this episode, and thank you for sharing your time with me. Time really is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So I want to talk about the subject of today's podcast with you, and it's decision debt. And it really is a cost of carrying what should have been subtracted. And what do I mean by that is that some of our biggest sources of more or the wrong more lives in what we did not subtract, not just what we maybe added. And when we do this, I just want you to think about there's a courage that's required to subtract indecision. And it's often what will allow you the space to experience the right more. So let's talk about that a little bit. Decision debt. You've probably never heard this or thought about it, yet it's the real thing. We often think of debt like a credit card, a mortgage, a personal loan, whatever debt you might have, where at the end of the month, you get this little statement and it tells you how much you owe, what the interest is that you carried, what your minimum payment is due, what the balance is, all of those things. Well, here's what I want you to think about. Decision debt doesn't come with that awareness. You don't get a statement at the end of the month telling you the cost of carrying indecision, yet it has a heavy cost with it. So let's dive in and start thinking about this together. Decision debt is invisible. Again, you're not getting that statement at the end of the month. However, it's also very heavy. It weighs heavily on us. Not all of what we do is always visible. That's why it's really important for us to become aware of this thing that I call decision debt. And some of the heaviest things that we carry are decisions we've postponed. I don't know about you. There are many, many times in my life and in my business where I've postponed making a decision. Sometimes I sat with it because I was uncertain, and a very wise coach told me once, when you're having doubt, just sit. And so some of the indecision that I have created for myself has come through that philosophy. However, there's a lot of decisions that we avoid and decisions that we're postponing making because we just aren't in the mental space to do it. So, it creates a debt when we're carrying around this indecision, and it becomes very, very heavy and it weighs on us. Every unresolved decision will occupy mental space. Your brain continues to work on unfinished decisions, even when you're not consciously thinking about them. How many of you, I'm in this group, wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I believe it is my unconscious mind saying, hey, you got some unresolved business that you didn't want to deal with while you're awake, so I'm going to wake you up right now, and we're going to take advantage of this silence and keep you awake until we run through a series of indecisions that you've been carrying. I really do believe our brain constantly is working on them, and it's not only taking up mental space, it's depleting us energetically. The result of indecision or postponing decisions is mental clutter, uncertainty, and distraction. We often blame our workload when it's actually just our decision load. How many times have we thought we're just overwhelmed, we have so much going on, and if we would just sit and make some decisions to eliminate things that we needed to do, to finish things that we should get done, to opt to say no to something, that it's really not our workload, it's our decision load that is making us feel overwhelmed or making us feel exhausted. Decision debt is invisible, which is why it's really easy to ignore. It is. It's that thing. I don't get a statement at the end of the month telling me what decision debt I owe, yet my unconscious mind, my world is carrying it around as a very, very heavy burden. So the heaviest things that you carry are often the decisions you never made. And this is really important, right? I've talked about this in previous episodes, the incredible amount of decisions that we have to make in a day. And we do a lot of those with ease, or we just handle those. Yet I think some of the most important decisions that we need to make are the ones that get shoved aside and are placed in the I'll do it later. I'm going to postpone this. I've got some uncertainty around this decision, so I'm going to delay it. So, number two thing is about those delayed decisions. Every delayed decision that you create creates more, not necessarily the right more. So, let me talk about this. In the book, Less Over More, I talk about this topic. There's things in your life and business that are the right more, the decisions, the activities, the strategies that are going to move you forward and help you achieve your goal. And then there's the wrong more, decisions that you've made, activities that you do, strategies that you're holding on to that are no longer serving you, but we keep doing them because we've been conditioned to believe that our only path to success is by doing more. I address this head on in the book, Less Over More, and would invite you to dive in and learn a bit more about that. Yet today, I want to talk about those delayed decisions that are creating more. Indecisions don't keep life the same always. It just creates more. Think about that. You're carrying around the knowledge that you have a decision that hasn't been made. You're carrying around the fact that until you make this decision, something can't happen or something can't go away. You're carrying around more. In my mind, indecision is the wrong more. Even if when you make the decision, it turns into a right more, indecision in my world lives in the space of wrong more. Every postponed decision that you carry around creates more stress, more overthinking, more emotional weight, more conversations in your head, more complexity, and more opportunity to drift. I know this for me personally, especially the part about the conversations in your head. We've talked about the thought flow model. For me, indecision is not willing to address a thought, right? Which is creating a feeling, energy, emotion, which is preventing me from taking action, which is getting me the result. But those are the conversations I'm having in my head. I'm carrying around that indecision, and I might be playing the what if game and looking at everything that go wrong versus what if I made the decision and everything went right. So think about postponed decisions creating a lot of the wrong more. Who wants more stress, more overthinking, more emotional weight, more conversations in your head, more complexity, more opportunities to drift? That is the wrong more. Yet every postponed decision creates that more. Staying in the wrong role might be one of those wrong more decisions that you're holding on to that you're postponing. It could also be waiting to hire your first admin or hire that person that's going to replace you. Yes, you're going to do that at some point in your career. Maybe it's avoiding a difficult conversation with a spouse, a friend, a coworker, somebody that reports to you, somebody that you report to. It could be holding on to goals that no longer fit. These postponed decisions are creating the wrong more. I know for myself, delayed decisions have created many times where I stayed in the wrong role for longer than I should have. When I held on to a role that I had outgrown and I simply was refusing to make a decision about what I needed to do next to replace myself. There were a lot of times when this delayed decision created the wrong more for me. So pay attention. Every decision that you avoid quietly becomes another layer of more. Let's make it the right more by making powerful decisions. The number three thing I want you to think about when it comes to delayed decisions is in that it creates more, not necessarily the right more, is that there is a more tax that we must pay. Remember, this is about debt that we don't necessarily get a credit card statement for at the end of the month. However, there is a tax that we must pay because every unresolved decision charges a tax on your life. It just does. Think about some of the decisions you've postponed or some of those decisions that are very unresolved in your world. Is it creating a positive or a negative energy in your life? Is it creating a space that's holding you back or moving you forward? And if you are moving forward, are you moving forward in the right direction? Are you moving forward at the pace you could be if you just made a decision and didn't postpone it? Decision debt taxes, what it costs you really in the form of taxes, if you will, is your focus, your creativity, your confidence, your energy, your leadership, your relationships. I know that this is true. Your focus when you have indecision is bouncing you from place to place. I think about indecision a lot like a pinball. If you've ever played a pinball machine, and some of you may not know what the heck I'm talking about, but you can Google it. Take a look at it. It's like a pinball bouncing from bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper because you're losing your focus because you just don't know what you're going to do. So life is taking you wherever the wind may blow or wherever that pinball is bouncing. The highest cost I think about indecision is confidence. When you have a space of indecision, it does not allow you to act with confidence because that is in the back of your mind the whole time, making you question every activity you take. Is this the right direction until I make the decision? Even though I'm making some actions, are they the right actions? Because I know I haven't decided what to do. Some of this confidence comes from, or this tax will come from, really avoiding the conversations that you know you should be having with yourself and preventing you from making a decision. So, what decision is charging you interest every single day? I share the journey I've been on with the book. It's now out. You can pre-order it anywhere you buy books, which I would encourage you to do because it's a great look at this. Wrong more, right more. But there are indecisions or lack of decisions or postponed decisions that you are choosing, and it's charging you interest every single day. I've shared this, and for me, on this journey of a book and different opportunities, keynote speaking, coaching at a different level, I've had to make some decisions about letting things go to create the space to really be fully present and to do what I need to do to be 100% effective. Until I made the decisions to remove certain things, to subtract, I was carrying around a tax. I was carrying around the more tax because I had all of these things that were going on that I didn't want to make a decision about letting go because I was fearful I was letting somebody down. I was fearful I was going to release opportunity to make money. I was fearful of a lot of things, and that kept me in indecision. But the tax I was paying because of that was significant. When I finally made the decision, I paid the tax. Think about it. When you write that check, as a lot of us do quarterly who are self-employed, it doesn't always feel great, but when it's done, what a relief it is. It's off your plate that you did the right thing. You made the payment. It's over. You're no longer carrying around that tax debt any longer. You've made yourself whole. Same thing about delaying decisions. What I know to be true is indecisions keep sending invoices long after the moment has passed. I don't know about you. I hate getting invoices that I don't pay immediately because I don't like owing people money. I don't like accumulating debt. I don't like that tax. Yet when you continue to hold on to indecisions, you're just getting more invoices for more tax over and over and over, even though the moment has passed that you could have just made the decision and been done with it and relieved yourself of that debt or that tax. Number 4, really important, is clarity comes after courage. We often wait for certainty before making a decision, but life or business rarely works like that. We want to wait until we're 100% sure. There's this thing that I talk about. And as human beings, we want to look good and be right. We don't love making mistakes, yet making mistakes is one of the biggest gifts we can get. It's where the learnings, the lessons, and the growth comes from. We, a lot of times, will postpone a decision because we want guarantees. If I do this, I'm going to get that. We want to know for sure that if we put this energy forward, we're going to get the result. I know this to be true. There are no guarantees. This is part of you have to implement, trust your plan, and experience some failures. We are fearful of making the wrong choice. Again, this falls back to the I want to look good and be right. I think about this on social media. I wish that for a week, we all had to post our failures on social media because we have this compulsion. We want to look good and be right. And we only see on social media what everybody is doing right. And I think if we just had a week of transparency as a society, as a community, we would embrace the fact that everybody makes wrong choices and that some of our decisions are not always the best, but those are the ones that always lead to the next best thing. Movement does create clarity, yet when we pause because we want clarity or we want to wait until we're 100% certain, we stifle movement. But movement is one of the key factors that creates certainty. When I go to do something new, so I will remember submitting the first chapter to my agent and my writing coach. And I hesitated and I was delaying and I wasn't hitting the send button. And I was even hesitating early on just writing it because for the first time, people that knew more than me in the literary world were going to be reviewing what I was doing. And so I was delaying that and delaying it. Finally, I remember I hit that send button and there was a huge sense of relief. Yes, I wanted to make sure I looked good. Yes, I wanted to make sure I did my best. However, I got amazing feedback. And had I not taken action and gotten into momentum or movement, the book would have never happened. I wouldn't have grown as an author. I wouldn't have learned that there is a substantial difference between writing content for a coaching course and writing a book. Confidence, my confidence grew through that movement or that action. Confidence rarely grows through sitting back and waiting. In fact, that erodes your confidence. So clarity comes after courage, the courage to fail, the courage to move when we're not 100% certain, the courage to make the wrong choice. We don't know it's the wrong choice until we make it. And then we learn, hey, that wasn't a great choice. And what can I learn to move forward? So remember, clarity comes after courage. I know we like to have abundant clarity before we do things. Sometimes that's just not how it works. Have the courage to take the action, have the courage to fail, have the courage to publicly not look so great and realize that that is where some of your best decisions are going to be made. I want you to really, really think about this. The clients who make progress aren't always the smartest. They're often the ones who are willing to move before everything feels perfect. Clarity isn't the reward for waiting, it's the reward for deciding. I'm going to say that again. Clarity isn't the reward for waiting, it's often the reward for deciding. You can think about that. You make a decision, you move forward, and you get clarity. It was a great decision. It was not such a great decision. It was a good decision, and here's my opportunity. This is when clarity happens. It's just your reward for making a decision. Number 5, every yes requires a courageous no. I've said this before. If you say yes to something, you're typically saying no to something else. You can't build the right more without subtracting the wrong more. So we're going to have the courage to say no. It took a lot of courage for me to let a group of people that I'd been coaching for a very long time know that the group program was going away. That was a courageous no for me for a lot of reasons. I was letting some folks down. I felt like I was potentially harming their growth. But what I did was made the decision to say no and a recommendation for them to sign up for a program with a different coaching company just to keep them in momentum. Every meaningful yes you make requires saying no to something, either a distraction, maybe a commitment like I had with that group, a belief that you were holding on to that is no longer a true belief any longer. Your identity, remember we talked about identity evolves, and you get to take pieces of your identity that work and eliminate pieces that no longer work. Maybe it's saying no to an opportunity. How many of you have ever said no to what you saw as an opportunity and 6 months later were so grateful you made that decision? Every yes requires a courageous no. Decision debt often comes from refusing to say no. So, what have you been saying yes to simply because you haven't had the courage to say no? Is it a coworker? Is it a favor that somebody's asking of you? Is it a activity that you've always done that's no longer working for you? This really is important. This is the subtraction piece. This is really a core piece of the book, Less Over More. It's accepting that subtraction is the path to success, not just more. And so that is really the heart of the book. Every great future begins with a courageous no. Every great future begins with a courageous no. It might simply be saying no to the life you're currently living, no to the fact that you're not where you wanted to be. It might be saying, no, I am not doing this any longer. And my decision to move forward is this. I'm not delaying it anymore. I know this new path or this new version of me is going to feel uncomfortable. That is a decision, and that is a yes that requires a courageous no. Where in your world have you been saying yes simply because you haven't had the courage to say no? Really, really important. Number 6 for you to consider is start paying off your decision debt, much like credit card, car payment, house note, whatever it is, personal loan that you have. You are looking to remove that debt. I know I am. And I know a lot of people in this life love to live in a debt-free place. Some of us carry debt because it's good for our business, it's good for tax purposes. Yet I want you to think about this decision debt and eliminating it. This is one that doesn't do you any good when it comes to your taxes or your deductions. This is one that we really must eliminate. And you don't eliminate decision debt overnight, right? You reduce it one courageous decision at a time. Decision debt accumulated over time, and it's going to take us a minute to eliminate it. So I want to challenge you to make your decision debt list. Write down every unresolved decision that you have right now in your business, in your relationship, in your health, in your finances, in your goals, in your commitments. And for each one of those categories, ask, what decision am I avoiding? What is it costing me? What would happen if I finally subtracted it? Don't try to solve everything at once. Just choose one. Make one decision today. Feel the weight begin to lift. I think I've shared with you, I recently, well, not recently, it's been about a year and a half ago now, got into doing hot yoga and really, really enjoyed that as my health journey. Some stuff changed. The studio I was going to was just no longer a fit, and I made a decision to go elsewhere. Well, I got into decision delay, and before I knew it, a couple months went by where I wasn't doing that exercise any longer. And so when I think about this, right, an unresolved decision for me in terms of health was picking a different studio or replacing yoga with a different exercise. Yet I kept delaying it because it was uncomfortable to go to a new studio. I knew people at the other one. I knew how it worked. I knew where to put my stuff. I knew the whole rhythm. I knew the yoga instructors. I knew all of that. And so I had a little bit of decision delay. Finally, I've made the decision to move forward, and boy, did it feel good, not only from a physical perspective, but from a mental perspective. So business relationships, health, finances, goals, and commitments. Ask yourself, what decision am I avoiding? What is it costing me? And what would happen if I finally subtracted it? Pay attention. You don't have to necessarily do each one of those categories all at one time, but pick one that you know would make the biggest impact. The fastest way for you to create more peace is to stop carrying decisions that belong in your past. Delayed decisions really do live in the past. The moment has already happened, and you've opted to not make the decision, yet life is moving forward. So the fastest way to create more peace is to stop carrying decisions that belong in your past. I know not all decisions can be made in the moment. Yet if you're carrying a decision for longer than 72 hours, you're intentionally or possibly unintentionally experiencing decision debt by delaying making a decision. And now you're carrying that past with you, and it's impacting and it's accumulating debt. So I want to invite you to think about decisions differently, and that decisions can become a debt that you're carrying around that is really one of the heaviest things that might be weighing you down from your overall success. I want to invite you to order Less Over More anywhere that you buy books. Right now, if you're hearing this prior to August 25th, it is a pre-order status. The book will be shipped out and received on or around the 25th of August. You can go to anywhere that you purchase books and make the purchase. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever it is that you buy books. Feel free to go online, go ahead and pre-order, and you'll learn a little bit more about the impact of the right more versus the wrong more. Team, thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much. Go make it a great week. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.